Okay. Right. So lying down on your backs. You can take the arms out to the side, plant your feet to the floor, drop the shoulders back and try and have a weight through the back of the head. So just let the whole back body sink down into the floor. You don't need to resist. Just drop the weight down. Pull in through the lower abdominals. So feel this downward pull through the abdominals, trying to flatten the back towards the floor. Pulling in towards the spine, starting to offer the slightest bit of support and engagement around the lower back. Draw the shoulders back, open a bit wider across the collarbones. And then you can just lift the hands, place the hands on the belly, take a big inhale, feel the belly rise, and a big exhale, draw the navel back down and in. Big inhale, feel the belly rise. Big exhale, draw the navel down and in. Just a few more breaths here. So connecting subtle movement to the breath, so that slight movement through the belly. And then we're going to get nice and warm early on, and then we'll slow down to stretch a bit deeper at the end of practice. 3 more breaths, all the way in and all the way out. All the way in and all the way out. Go for 1 more. And exhale. Keep the waist pulling in. Take the hands to the back of the head and just lift the head, neck, shoulders off the floor. Bring the feet off the floor so the shins are parallel. Take the right toes down, tap the floor, and then bring the right toes back. So we're just moving the right side to start with for 4. And lift, tap down, and lift. As you do that, the lower back doesn't move. The waist keeps pulling in. Last 2. Last 1. Bring the right knee back, left side for 5. Pull in. 4. When you pull in, I want you to think about pulling the waist in at the same time. So that pull in is kind of coming from the abdominals, and you'll see how strong that is when you get it. It might take a little while, but pulling in from the abdominals. 1 more. And then place both feet down, arms down by the side. Rest the head back. 1 glute bridge. So just lift your hips up towards the sky. Drive down into the feet. So just strengthen and wake up through the backs of the legs, through the hips. Driving down, lifting up. So get nice and strong through the big muscles that support the lower back, the glutes, the hamstrings. Lift the hips a fraction higher. Hold for 3. Really engage through the back of the hips for 2. And on 1, slowly roll the spine down, pulling the waist in. Bring the knees into the chest, cross 1 shin over the other. Rock yourself all the way up to a seat. And then come over. So bring your hands down and step back so you have all 4s, hands and knees. Hands are spread so you can see the mat between all 10 of your fingers. You've got space between the fingers. Inhale, draw the shoulders back, make that strong. Take an extra breath here. So we're going to take an extra breath at each end of the movements. And then as you arch around, hold an extra breath here too. So instead of moving with just 1 breath, I want you to take a bit longer, feeling that stretch and feeling that engagement. Go forwards, opening the chest, drawing the shoulders back and down, widening across the collarbones, and then arching and rounding, pulling the waist in. So that's really strong and active through the front of the body and really high through the back of the body. Look forwards, open the chest, drawing the shoulders back and down, and then arch and round. Just 1 more. So look forwards and make it your biggest. Stretch through the front of the body. So really send the chest through the upper arms. And then as you arch and round, tuck the toes under, lift your hips up to the sky, downward facing dog. And take some time here. So have a good wriggle through the feet, the ankles, bend the knees. Maybe give your hips a rock from side to side. Just lengthen the back of the neck. So the line of the neck is an extension of the back. Try not to have this nice long spine and then crease into the back of the neck. Keep that nice and soft, nice and relaxed. Breathe in, bring your body forwards to a plank and just hold that plank position. So keep the waist pulling in, shoulders come all the way over the wrist. So try not to hang back here. Bring the shoulders forwards and then lift back into downward facing dog. Hips high. Super glue the hands to the floor, but lift the hips up. So you're stretching from the hands through the shoulders to the hips. Come forwards to a plank. Hold that line nice and strong. Shoulders are coming forwards of your wrists, just a little, and then back into downward dog. From downward facing dog, rest both knees to the floor, and then just step the left foot forwards, reach the arms up to the sky. So really easy low lunge to start with, just opening through the right hip, through the chest and the shoulders. Take a big breath in. Big breath out, reach back with the arms, draw a circle, bring the arms down by the side. Inhale all the way up to the ceiling. Exhale, take them back, open into the shoulders and the chest. 3 more, all the way up, all the way back and down, all the way up, all the way back and down. Last one, think about taking the hands back as far as you can. So really challenge the shoulders and the chest. Take the hands to the floor. Tuck the back toes and straighten that right leg off the floor. Reach your left arm up to the sky and twist. So facing to the left side, pull the waist in and then twist more. So pull the waist in and twist. Pull the waist in and twist, really opening across the chest. So push that right hand down and lift the left fingertips up. Breathe in and breathe out. One more breath. And then exhale, bring your left hand down. Step back into downward facing dog. Both hands down, both hips high. Take a breath in, roll forwards to a plank. Rest the knees, half a push-up. So just take it halfway. Now from here, straighten the arms and just look forward. So it's kind of like a half upward facing dog. My knees are down. And then pull your waist in, take it back to downward facing dog. Big breath. Exhale, rest both knees down. Step your right foot forwards. Inhale, reach the arms up to the sky. So opening through that left hip. Think about tucking the tailbone under. So no sticking back with the hips, sticking under so that we open the lower back. Breathe in. Breathe out. Start to draw those circles with the arms. You've got 5. So it's up to you how much you try and reach back. Obviously, the more you try and reach back, the more space you're going to find with the breath. So if you can, inhale, rise. Exhale, take them back. 2 more. Really challenge the front of the shoulders. Last one. Should be nice and warm now. So really reach back. Both hands down to the ground. Left toes tuck, left knee lifts off the floor so that back leg is strong. Reach your right arm up to the sky and open the chest. And as much as you're trying to reach the right fingertips up, push that left hand down. So you're trying to push into the ground and reach to the ceiling. Navel in and twist. Navel in and twist. Right hand comes to the floor. Step back into downward dog. Take a big breath here. And exhale. Roll forwards to a plank. Rest the knees. You're lowering halfway and holding this time. So elbows bend to 90 degrees. And then straighten the arms again, lift back up. So half a push-up, knees are down. One more, lower halfway. And lift back up. Toes tuck, downward facing dog. And then bend, soften your knees. Walk your feet in towards your hands. So come into a forward fold, bending the knees as much as you need to. I want contact of belly on thigh. So the knees can be as bent as you need. They don't have to be straight. Drop the weight of the head. So you should be gazing through your shins, not to the ground. If you're looking through your shins, we're going to keep that nice long position into the back of the neck. The moment you look to the ground, we add a real kink into the back of the neck. So allow the weight of the body to pour forwards. Allow the hips to lift, the back of the legs to lengthen, and trust yourself to take the weight into the front half of the feet instead of holding it back in the heels. From here, still maybe keeping quite a considerable bend in both knees, left hand to the floor, reach your right arm up to the sky. So you're opening your chest to the right side of the room, reaching up through those right fingertips. Some of you, if you feel warm enough, might straighten the right leg, but you don't have to. It's just if you want that stretch through the right hamstring. Slowly bring the right hand down, both knees soft. Left arm reaches up to the sky. Maybe straighten the left leg if it feels like that's okay and it's not too much of a force. We'll go once more each side. So soften both knees, both hands down. Reach the right arm up to the sky, open the chest. Bring the right hand down. Left arm up. And then bring both hands down. Wriggle your feet a little closer together. Big toes touch, heels touch. Bend the knees. Reach the arms up, chair. Pull the waist in. So really try and hug navel to spine. And try and think about sending the tailbone down rather than sticking back. If you stick back, you're going to hinge in the low back, cause some discomfort. Tuck under, and then you're able to pull in more through the front of the body. So like there's this vacuum pulling in through the front of the tummy. Sometimes talk about that in downward facing dog. You're trying to pull in and almost think about pulling in and tucking the belly up behind the lower ribs. So there's this kind of pull in and suck up, if that makes sense. So pull in and suck up. One more breath. And then exhale, fold all the way down. Hands to the floor. Head relaxes. Back of the neck is long. Push into the hands, step to downward facing. Breathe here. Stretch back through the heels. Don't have to touch the floor, but lengthen them away from the hips. Engage through the front of the thighs if you can. So think about this upward pull through the kneecap all the way up to the hips. And then you're going to reach right leg to the sky, lift it high. Keep stretching back. Doesn't matter how high you lift it, just stretch that right heel as far away from you as you can. Pull the right knee in. Hold it close to the chest. So the more you push into the hands, the more you lengthen the arms, the more you can lift that right knee in nice and close. And then step it forwards. You might need to use the right hand to pull that right foot forwards. Keep the back knee lifted, high lunge. Reach the arms up to the sky. So lifting up. You can soften that back knee. And from where you see me, I want you to imagine if you were looking through my left hip, you'd catch my left hip and my right hip. Both hips are in one line. I'm not opening to see you this way. I'm bringing that left hip forwards so both hips face the front of the room. Big inhale. And big exhale. Big breath in. And big breath out. Reach the right arm forwards, take the left arm back, warrior two. So turn your left toes out slightly, bend into that right knee. As you do that, tuck the tailbone under, so pull the waist in, tailbone goes under, go a little bit further into that right thigh, and you'll feel it. It's easy to be here. it's harder to be here. So go into that right thigh, challenge yourself. I'm going to be here for 2 more breaths. Reach the arms out wider. Open the collarbones more, so pull across the chest. And then straighten that right leg. Shuffle your back foot in once or twice, so just shorten the stance. Hinge from your right hip, so reach that right arm as far forwards as you can. You're going to get to a place where that right hip doesn't allow you to go anymore. When you're there, the right hand can come to the shin and the left arm lifts to the sky. So opening across the chest, pushing down into both feet. And the rib cage, the left rib cage, want it to feel like you're trying to lift the left rib cage to face up to the ceiling. So as opposed to letting the left rib cage face down, left rib cage faces up. And that might mean you have to lift higher. So you're bringing that right hand maybe higher up, but you're able to open more. Doesn't matter how far down you are. More important, you're opening through that left side of the body. Now, strong in the legs, lift your right hand off the thigh and pull yourself up using the waist. So use that left side of your body, arms wide, right toes turn in. So now both toes face the left side of the room or the side of the room, fold the body forwards. So relax the body all the way down, relax the weight of the head. Again, just see if you can pour the body weight forward. So we have a tendency to hang in the heels. Pour the weight forwards. One big breath in. And big breath out. Walk your hands around to the back of your yoga mat so they come inside of your left foot. Rest your right knee to the floor. So you have the right knee down, the hands inside of the left foot. And just looking down to the mat, stretching through that right hip. If you want to, if you can go for a bit more of a stretch, you can come down to the forearms or you stay on hands. It's up to you. So we're stretching through that right hip and you're either on hands or forearms. Wherever you are, the neck is nice and long. Trying your best to soften through the shoulders. Soften the expression across the face and breathe. Trying to let the hips be drawn down closer to the floor, not forcing it, but just imagining gravity slowly having an effect on the body and moving you into a deeper stretch through that right hip. Big breath. And exhale. Rise back up to the hands. Just take your left knee back next to your right knee. So you should be facing the back of the room on your hands and your knees. Cat-cow. Inhale, look to the back of the room, open the chest. Exhale, arch and round through the spine. Inhale, look forwards, pull the shoulders back and down. Exhale, arch and round. Stay rounded, pulling the belly in. Tuck your toes and just lift the knees a tiny bit off the floor. So there's just a little bit of space beneath the knees and the ground. So you're holding yourself here, strengthening through the front of the body. And then take it back into downward facing dog. Hands push down, heels stretch away. So you're in downward facing dog, facing the back of the room, lifting up through the hips, lengthening through the spine. Inhale, take your left leg high to the sky, lift the left heel. Just lift it away from you. Doesn't matter about the height. Kick that left heel as long as you can. So that left leg really stretches. That stretch comes into the lower back. And then bring the left knee in, close to the chest and the body. Lightly step forwards. If you need to use the left hand, grab the ankle, pull the foot forwards, Rise up, high lunge. So still facing the back of the room. I'll keep the instruction clear. Reach the arms to the sky. Soften the back knee slightly. Relax the shoulders. Pull in through the waist. Ask yourself whether both hips are facing to the top of, well, to what was the back of your mat. Is that right hip coming forwards as well, or are you leaving that right hip open? Can you bring that right hip to face forwards? Take a big inhale. Exhale, left arm reaches out in front of you, right arm back, warrior two. Turn your right toes out, bend into your left knee. So bend into that left thigh, stretch the arms out. So find a depth in that left thigh that's going to challenge you. Try not to be out of the knee. Try to go a little lower. You know we're not here for too long. And look to your left knee a minute. Can you see your left big toe, or is your left knee falling in? If it's falling in, pull it back out so you can see, just see your left big toe. Straighten the left leg. Shuffle your back foot in once or twice so you're a tad shorter in the stance. Reach your left fingertips to the back of the room, stretch them away from you. Hinge until you can't go any further. Left hand down, right arm up. Space across the chest. Can you open that right rib cage to the ceiling, even if it means lifting a bit higher with the left hand? You don't have to be all the way down to the ankle or the foot by any means. You want to keep a nice long line through the spine. So if you feel like your spine is side bending, for you to be able to get that left hand down, don't worry about it. Just bring the left hand higher up. Doesn't really matter. You want to keep a nice long line through the spine. And then you're using your waist, so strong in the legs. Left hand lifts off the left thigh. Use particularly that right side of the body to lift you all the way up. Arms are out. Turn the left toes in. Fold the body forwards. So you have another wide leg, forward fold, coming forwards with the body. Rest the weight into the front half of the feet. And you have your hands to support you. You're not going to fall too far forwards. We need to put the hands down in front of the face and rock all the weight into the tiptoes. So some of the weight's going to come into the hands, and you're going to actually lift the heels off the floor and then take the weight back to the heels and bring the weight forwards into the balls of the feet, using the hands to take some of the body weight. So that means the shoulders are going to have to work too. Rock it back. And then come forwards, weight into the hands, weight into the balls of the feet, and back. We'll go one more time. So come forwards, bring the weight into the hands, weight into the tiptoes, and take it back. Now, if that was plenty, you're just going to stay in a forward fold here, maybe hold the elbows. For a couple of you might want a bit more. You're going to rock the weight forwards into your hands, come onto your tiptoes, see if you can lift the right foot into the air. You might think, absolutely not. You just stay in a forward fold if that's the case. I want to give you some options. Both feet down. Forward fold. Take the pressure off the wrist, so everyone hold opposite elbows. Allow the body weight to draw down. Elbows are drawing to the floor. Crown of the head is drawing to the floor. Gaze is between the legs. And then hands come down. Walk them over to the right foot and rest your left knee down to the floor. So should be back facing to the top of your yoga mat. Left knee down. You're on your hands. So there's a big stretch through this left hip. If you want to, you can come to forearms. It's not essential at all. If you want to, and you have blocks, that's a nice middle ground because you can rest on the elbows without having to get all the way to the floor. So that's a nice halfway point for you if you have blocks. Just relax the back of the head. Breathing and trying to let the hips move forwards to the ground. Easy breath. Just 2 more. One more. Okay, and then from there, come back to the hands. Take your right knee back. So you're on your hands and your knees. Push into the hands, arch through the spine. So you've got this rounded shape through the spine. Now, instead of just going forwards and back, cat cow, I'm going to roll big circles through the spine. So really let the spine drop into an extreme cat and an extreme cow, and then arch circles between the two. So let the elbows bend, that's going to help. And I think if you close the eyes, it helps as well, because you're not so worried about what you're doing shape-wise. You're just feeling big rotations through the spine. And you'll see how much movement comes into the hips and the shoulders. Really pull in through the waist. And next time you get to the top of a rotation or a circle, I want you to take it the opposite way. Keep the breath going, so don't start to move and hold the breath. Will get pretty hard if you do. Big rotations, pulling the waist in. So not only is it a good way to mobilize the spine, the hips and the shoulders, it's quite a massage around the digestive system and the center of the body. Okay, the next rotation, we're going to pause at the top. From that paused position, just take your knees out a little wider, toes are touching, sit all the way back into a child's pose. So rest the forehead down, relax the forehead to the floor. If it doesn't quite come to the floor, make a tower with the hands and rest your forehead to that tower. Relaxing across the shoulders, pulling in through the waist. I'm going to be here for a good few breaths. So really try and relax the hips back. Take a bit of time to breathe into that child's pose. Lengthening the hips back. So trying to find some space, trying to extend from the back of the ribs down to the hips. So you can imagine if you were in a studio, you had a teacher with you, maybe if they put their hands on your lower back and kind of pulled your lower back to your heels, this is that idea of lengthening and stretching. Those of you I've taught in real life, I've probably done that to you. Try to almost pull your hips back so you feel that length and that stretch through the lower back. And then at the same time, a widening across the shoulder blades. The shoulder blades move out, they make some space across the upper back. We'll take 2 more full breaths here, all the way in, all the way out, all the way in, all the way out. Push down into the hands, rise yourself up to all fours. Find all fours, pushing into the hands, pulling in through the waist. Remember that idea of pulling in and then pulling up behind the lower ribs. So pulling in and then pulling up. Keep that engagement, but don't hold the breath. Tuck your toes, downward facing dog. So I want that to feel nice and strong in the front of the body. Feel like you've got control pulling in through the waist. You've got strength pushing down through the arms. Look to the hands. Step your right foot forwards. High lunge. Reach your arms up to the sky. Breathe in. And breathe out. Go a bit further into that left hip so you can bend the left knee, trying to move that left hip a bit further forwards. Reach the arms up to the sky and then see if you can reach them back behind you. So you're lifting up and back with the arms, really trying to open through the shoulders. Take a big breath in and a big breath out. Engage that left glute. So squeeze that left glute. Try and send a message for that left glute to support the left hip. Left arm reaches in front of you, right arm back. So you twist across the body. So open the chest to the right side of the room. Quite a balance through the lower body. Reach the arms out wide. Hands come back to center, reach them up. Now look to the top of your yoga mat. As your hands come down and touch the floor, your left leg's going to lift. So come forwards, take your hands down, balancing on the right leg, lift the left leg. Doesn't matter if both knees are bent, it's just the balance that we're working on today. So push that right foot down, lift the left heel, and then slowly land the left foot to the floor. Come back into a high lunge. This is going to get nice through the legs. I use the word nice loosely. Bending into that back knee, so there's a softness. Left arm forwards, right arm back. So we open again. This will be the start of our second round, and then we're going to do one more. Inhale, reach the arms up to the sky. Look to the top of your yoga mat. Take the hands forwards and down. Lift the left leg. Again, don't worry too much about the shape of the legs, just the idea of lifting through the back leg. That's all you need to do. Slowly, carefully, lightly land the back toes down, reach the arms up, high lunge, open the chest. Last one, left arm forwards, right arm back. Find that twist. Should be feeling it in the right thigh. Inhale back to center, lift the arms up. Look to the top of your yoga mat, take the hands down, lift the left leg. Big breath in. Big breath out. Big breath in. Big breath out. Step back into downward facing dog. Take a few breaths here. Have a good pedal out through the feet. Same leg, right leg reaches up to the sky. Now you can stay just reaching that right leg up, or you can bend the right knee and try and open the right hip so it stacks on top of the left hip. If that's too much, just keep reaching that right leg back. If you are opening that right hip, think about lifting the kneecap to the ceiling. Step both feet together. Downward facing dog. Roll forwards to a plank. Hold that plank position. Now you're on the tip of your toes and the balls of your feet. Stay there, keep the feet as they are. Just let the hips lower down and let the gaze come forward. So it's really slow and controlled, whereas sometimes we end up dropping forwards. Look forwards. You've got this variation of upward facing dog. Now all your strength, pull in through the waist, push down through the hands, downward facing dog. So you don't have to worry about stepping over the feet there. You just get to stay tucked through the toes. Big breath in. Big breath out. Rest both knees down. You're going to step your left foot to the outside of the left hand. And for some of you, that's going to be plenty of a stretch through the right hip. If you want more, you're going to try and, so for this, if you want more, you do need to be, I don't know if you can see, you want to be more on the right thigh rather than the kneecap. So if you're back here, I'd say you're quite on the kneecap. I would just stay there. If your hips are further forwards and you're more on the thigh, you can bend that back knee. There's no rush to get here. You'll get there with time. Reach the left arm up and reach round for the foot. But it can be quite juicy. If your kneecap's on the floor, then it won't be that comfortable to roll over it. So if you're staying in that hip stretch, just breathe where you are. You don't need to come all the way. Everyone feels the stretches in different places. So for some of you, it's going to be plenty. If you are there, there's a couple of you I can see, pull that left shoulder back. So I don't want you to be there with the left shoulder coming forwards. I want you to be there with the chest really open. Okay, slowly let that go. Really slowly. Both hands down. Step back into downward facing dog. Have a bit of a pedal through the feet. Take an inhale. Big sigh out, exhale. And go one more like that, all the way in. all the way out. Look to the hands. Left foot steps forwards. High lunge, reach the arms up to the sky. So we have that same sequence that we did with the right leg forward. So sit a little lower in the hips. Take your right arm out in front of you, left arm back. So first challenge to twist through the spine. If you pull that right arm forwards, it's going to pull that right hip forwards too. So you can pull the body into the twist. If you've set yourself up for a high lunge that's on a tightrope and it's really narrow, this is going to be hard. So when you come back, give yourself a bit more space between your feet. Inhale, look forwards, reach the arms up to the sky. Exhale, take your hands down to the top of the yoga mat and lift your right foot off the floor. So you're lifting that right leg, pushing down through the left leg. And in fact, you can look here. So when you step back, make sure you're not on a tightrope. Think more like you're on ladders and one foot is on each leg of the ladder, if that makes sense. So your feet are nicely hip width apart rather than being too narrow. Right arm forwards, left arm back twist. Start of the second round. Reach your arms out wide. Pull them apart, so really stretch. Inhale back to center. Exhale, hands down to the top of the yoga mat. Lift your right leg off the floor. So should be starting to feel it in the left thigh. Land your right foot back. High lunge, last one. Make sure you're bending in that front knee. So challenge yourself. Don't be here. Be here. Reach the arms out wide. Open into it. Last time, back to center, lift. Hands come down to the top of the mat. Right foot lifts. Folding forwards. And then a long step back. Downward dog. Inhale. Exhale. Keep the hands pushing down where they are. Bend the knees so you're almost crouching to the back of the mat, like you're going to pounce, and then just stretch into downward dog. Do that a couple of times. So bend the knees, you're almost crouching, and straighten out. Bend the knees, almost crouching, and straighten out. Rest both knees to the floor. Take your right foot all the way to the outside of the right hand. So this is your first hip stretch coming forwards into the hips. So be back here to start with, and then we just pull the hips forwards. You don't need to use your hand, I was just showing you, but pull your hips forwards so that you've got that stretch through the left thigh. And then if you wish, right arm is reaching up. Back knee bends. You reach around, find the foot, and pull that foot in so you feel it into the left thigh. If you're there, you're pulling that right shoulder back as a reminder for the chest not to collapse and fall forwards. Big breaths. And then slowly let that go. Slowly let it go. Don't just fling that left foot back. Bring the right hand forwards. Step back into downward facing dog. And then from your downward facing dog, rest both knees to the floor. If you can, keep the toes tucked. Walk the hands back and just have a seat on the heels. So a seat with those toes tucking under. So we stretch the soles of the feet. Take the hands to the back of the head. Inhale, pull the elbows back, open the chest, lift the chest to the ceiling. Exhale, arch and round all the way through the spine. Inhale, lift the chest open, draw the shoulders back nice and wide. Exhale, arch and round. 2 more. We lift. And round. Lift. And round. From that rounded position, come forwards, place the hands down. Just give the feet a bit of a shake. You might want to pat them on the floor. So just kind of bring some blood back into the toes. And then you're going to stay in all fours. So at the moment, your feet are stretching back behind the knees. So if you look down, maybe you can't see the feet because they're hidden behind the knees. I want you to take the right foot slightly out to the side. So now you can see that right foot sticking out to the side. Take your left leg back and then reach your left arm up. So you have a bit more balance in your side plank because that right foot came back a little. And you're going to reach your left arm and your left leg off the floor. So lift the left leg. That's your starting position. And then you're going to see if you can bend the left knee, bend the left elbow and bring the two together. See if they can touch and then reach away. Doesn't matter if you wobble. Bring them together. See if they can touch and then take it away. Go for 5. Reach away. 4. Reach away. See if you can bring it all the way in. Reach away. Last 2. Reach away. Very last one. Probably feeling it in the right hip because it's doing quite a lot of stabilizing work. And stretch away. Left hand down, left knee down. And then you're just going to simply take the left foot slightly out to the side. Stretch your right leg back, reach the right arm up. And then your right leg lifts off the floor too. Bend the elbow, bring the knee, see if you can make them touch. And then stretch away. For 1, we've got 6. 2. 3. 4. 5. Last one. 6. Hand down, knee down. And then keep the knees about hip width. Just lift yourself all the way up. So knees are down on the floor, about hip width apart. And then take them actually a little bit wider and bring your toes to touch. So I've got a triangle between my shins and my feet. Reach your arms up to the sky, hands in prayer. Squeeze your glutes on. So don't just let your hips fall back. Really use your hips to support the lower back. All you're going to do is bend the elbows and reach the fingers back behind you. So it's going to be an opening through the chest. Squeezing the glutes at the same time. Reaching the fingertips back. If that feels okay, look to the ceiling. If not, keep looking forwards. And slowly come back. Hands to the floor. Walk your knees to the top of your yoga mat. Cross your legs and have a seat. And then I'm just going to spin so I can see you. Soles of the feet together, knees out wide. So have a good distance between yourself and your feet. Don't pull them so close in that you're really squashed. Give yourself some space. Take the hands to the side of the head, so fingers just need to touch the temples. You're going to inhale, think about lifting through the spine. Exhale, twist the body over to the right. So that twist is only coming from the spine. Sometimes when we twist, we use our hands, we can kind of pull ourselves into it. But here it really truly comes through the spine. And then bring it back to center. Lift a little as you inhale and see how far you can exhale to the other side. We've got once more each side. Use that lift in the middle to your advantage. Make a bit more space and then twist. Lift as you come through center. And twist. And then we're going to come back to center. Release the hands, hold on to the ankles. Inhale, lift the chest, pull the shoulders back, so send the chest forwards. And then as you exhale, just reach the hands far away from you. Let the spine round, let the spine stretch forwards, let the head relax, back of the neck, backs of the shoulders, breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. So just trying to widen that space between the shoulders, staying there for 4 more breaths. And as you're trying to widen the shoulders, trying to move the knees out to the side. One more big inhale, maybe. And a big exhale. And then slowly lift yourself all the way up. Take your hands to the outside of the thighs, close that gap between the knees. Just going to turn some on my mat, plant the feet to the floor, have your knees squeezing together, so some engagement through the inner thighs. Reach the arms out, check you've got room behind you, pull the belly in, tuck the tailbone, roll down for 10, 9, 8, waist pulls in, 7, 6, 5, really squeeze the knees, 4, 3, 2, 1, stretch the arms all the way overhead. Reach the legs away as well. So stretch the arms, stretch the legs. Take a nice big inhale and a big exhale. Bend the knees. And you're just going to lift both feet up to the sky. So it doesn't matter if there's a slight bend in the knees, but just stretch the legs up to the ceiling. And before we go, just think about this. So lift the head, neck, shoulders off the floor, hands behind the back of the head. Said this at the start of practice. When you drop that leg, I don't want it to be just the thigh that lifts it back up. As you lift up, I want you to pull the belly in. So pull the belly in to lift the leg, lower down. Let's just go left side. So lower the left leg, pull the belly in to lift. So lower the leg, pull the belly in, push the lower back to the floor. 3 more, lower. As you lift, push the lower back to the floor. Lower. As you lift, pull in through the waist. Last one. Pull in through the waist. We'll switch. So take the right leg down. Pull in through the waist as you lift. So it's the belly working, not the thigh. Take the leg down. Pull in through the waist. 6 more, lower. Pull in through the waist. Keep the head, neck, shoulders lifted, lower. Pull in through the waist. Last 3. And lift. Last 2. And lift. Last 1. And lift. Hug both knees into the chest. Give a gentle rock from side to side. And then plant the feet down. Arms down by the side. Push into the feet. Lift your hips up to the sky. Stretch the knees away from you. Slightly tuck the tailbone under. So find length through the tailbone. Pull in through the abdominals. So that same activation you just had to pull in through the waist, find that. So find that inward strength, that pulling in through the front of the body, and at the same time pushing up through the back of the body. So pushing up through the hips, pulling in through the waist, pushing down into the feet. Hold it for 5. Should feel nice and strong for 4, 3, 2, 1. Roll it down to the floor. Really super slow. Slow as you can. Finally, resting the hips. Take the arms out to the side, fill as much space as you have. Drop both knees over to the left and gaze to the right. So there's this twist and this length through the right thigh. Right shoulder relaxed down. Right knee trying to move as far over to the left as is possible. Really stretch through that right side waist. Big breath. You're going to slowly bring the knees back through center. Take your knees all the way over to the right. Your gaze can come to the left, looking over your left shoulder. Really move that left knee down over to the right. So you stretch through that left hip, left waist. Relax the left side of the body. And then bring it back through center. Stretch the feet out as far and wide as you can. So fill the space you have. Take advantage of the fact you're at home, not in a studio. You've got plenty of space. So widen between the feet. Stretch the arms out nice and wide. Close the eyes. Resting for Shavasana. So we're going to be here for a few moments. Coming in with 3 deep breaths. So take a big inhale through the nose. And a big exhale, sigh out through the mouth. 2 more like that. So breathe all the way in and sigh all the way out. Breathe all the way in and all the way out. Just lie in total stillness. So you don't need to fidget, you don't need to move. Keep the eyes closed. You don't need to see what's going on. And just let the body absorb the effects of practice. So give it a few moments to just recognize your efforts. Just recognize this new steady breath. And to just adjust to all the space you've created. Newfound space. So that space we've brought into the front of the hips, and the shoulders are going to hold on to that for at least the rest of the day. Hopefully a little bit longer, but maybe just really trying to keep with it for the rest of today. You can let the breath deepen a little without forcing it. Just send a bit more energy into the breath. And at the same time, notice how a slightly bigger breath gives you back more energy. So it's a cycle. Notice more movement through the rib cage. More rise and fall through the chest. And then send little movement down to the toes, tips of the toes and the fingers. Wriggle, or maybe you pull the hands into a fist and then stretch the hands back out. Bring them into a fist and then stretch back out with the feet. Maybe you point the toes and then flex the toes, point the toes and then flex. Think about the space around you. Whilst you're led there on the floor, reach the arms all the way back. Stretch the legs away. Make your biggest, longest line. Stretch longer than your yoga mat. And then pull the knees into the chest. Give yourself a big hug. So just make this really round shape. Push the lower back into the floor. And try your best to keep the eyes closed. Bring yourself up to a seat. And that's however you need to. So roll over to the side or just roll all the way up. Sit nice and tall. Root the seat bones down. Pull in through the waist. One last time, just remind yourself to support through the lower back. Lift the crown of the head tall. Set the shoulders down away from the ears. They can stay there. They don't need to come any higher today. And then reach your arms up to the sky. Lift them nice and tall. Interlace the hands. Just flip the heels of the hands up to the ceiling. So just one last big stretch. Maybe take it slightly to the right Open that left side, and then slightly to the left, open the right side. Come back to center. Bring the hands into the center of the chest. Just thank yourself for practice. Thank yourself for making time to come and practice this morning when, well, here it's very beautiful outside. Have a wonderful Sunday, a good week. I will see some of you tomorrow morning.